Fix my windows up.
All right. So I'll send you the link if you need it.
Oh, cool. There's a button for me to go view it on my end.
Oh, nice. Send you the link if you need it.
There we go.
Hello. Hi, Jordan.
Ooh, hello, Jordan.
Hi. Why do people delete stuff?
Oh, I know.
Okay. So, I love everyone. I want to start there. Everyone is so beautiful, and what a time to be alive.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Brandy. Yes, Jordan, I'd love for you to put it back. Thank you. Why did you delete it? Okay, I'll start with, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. I'm Jasmine, also known as Gladiator and Sweats on YouTube and Instagram. Currently, well, I'm not really putting out much because I'm bringing a lot of energy to myself at the moment. But what I usually do on my channel and on Instagram is just share my own musings and things that come to me, and also do tarot readings for the collective, as well as personal sessions too. So that's really what I like to do and what I'm all about. And I pretty much just share, and something that Alanna and I have talked about actually very recently, and I'm starting to recognize for myself, is what I really want to do is just be more embodied as a human being, what that can all fully encompass. It doesn't have to be these separate, compartments that we see ourselves as. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm all about at this point.
And a mother of two.
Yes.
Beautiful little babies.
I'm a mother of two. And yeah, it's pretty much what I do. I'm a stay-at-home mom and love on my babies. And yeah, that's what I do.
They're so cute and smart.
Thank you.
And my name is Alanna. That's really all I want to say about myself. I'm a channel. I don't know. I don't really like definitions. You guys know I don't like introducing myself, but you can find out more about me at alannaheavenly.com. The reason why I'm rushing through my intro is that I have a channeled message for you guys. Hi, Allison. Good to see you. I have a channeled message. When I opened the Akash today, Khan came to me. He's indigenous. He considers himself a keeper of the Akashic Records. And I asked, what message do we need to know? Us in this live, us watching in the future, what do we need to know? So I'm going to read it. It is a lot, and you'll see that his language is different from mine. And I'd like for you guys to take the words with you. You know, Jordan, I haven't asked if he's Mongolian, but he might be. Okay, here we go. Channeled message from Khan. How did people lose themselves so easily? Why did people believe that they didn't have the resources they needed, so they had to take from others, steal from others? Such powerless words, meanings, and behaviors. So is the answer to do it back? Is the answer to take power back? Or is the answer to find the power within yourself? Is the answer to find a power within yourself instead of repeating history? Repeating cycles of feeling powerless, so taking from others and then retaliating. The others take and take and take and take instead of receiving from themselves. It doesn't matter what scenario you put it in. You can go with gold, oil, any type of object. It's all made of matter, energetic currency. taking because you fear that you're lacking. You're taking because you don't realize your worth and your gold. But there are gold threads throughout you, interweaved into your body, interweaved into your system, that are just waiting to be activated. Golden coils throughout the Kundalini snake, waiting for it to rise, waiting for the breath to enter into your system fully. Giving and taking and taking and taking. It's not fulfilling, is it? It's draining, isn't it? Fighting is exhausting, isn't it? Is it working? Is your outrage working? Is it helping you? You see corporations speaking out. When have corporations ever been on your side? Something to ponder. When have you ever been on your side fully and given to yourself completely? This is what I leave you with. So that's his message to the collective here, presently and in the future. And then I inquired with him about the law of reflection. And he channeled more about that. So he said, the law of reflection comes twofold, one in terms of the behaviors you are seeking, other towards the behaviors you are giving out. Another perspective is the behaviors that come towards you. It is a radiation, a reflection of the molecular structure that you are giving out, also known as brain wavelengths that you are giving out. Everyone has an emission. Every being, every molecular structure has an emission. Like a carbon emission, every carbon being has an emission. With this emission, we are given the option of accepting that or rejecting that. That which we don't see alignment with, we do not absorb. That which is within us, we absorb. So everything that is within our radius is everything that is reflected inside of our inner world. And then I said to him, what in the world are you saying? I said, can you dumb it down for me? And he said, picture everyone that you come across with a mirror in front of their face. So imagine instead of my face, you see a mirror. So picture everyone you come across, every word they say, every behavior, every pattern is you. Picture every person is speaking to you as you. That is the law of reflection. So when you are pissed at someone, you are pissed at yourself. How can this be, you ask? Everyone comes from one divine source. That is where the law of oneness comes in. We are all masters and teachers here to be students and teachers of one another. Students and teachers place equal weight on that, although most people forget they are students as well. And most people forget to receive from others. And then they feel that things are happening to them instead of extracting the lesson for them. And the last channeled message is something I channeled earlier on when preparing my Akashic Records course. So that is what I'm going to read to you, what I received about the definition of oneness from my guides in the Akash. So they said, oneness is the light through us all. It is the form that connects us through all space and time. It is the mirror's reflection throughout our very gazes. It is the reminder that we are from the same creator, that all is one within us. It is a reminder that we are fractals from one soul. It is a reminder that we can always remain in our power and it can never be taken away from us. So let me know your thoughts on that. I also understand if you need to let that breathe a little.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think? Go ahead.
That was a lot. I mean, even from the beginning, the very first sentence, it felt very powerful within my own bodies. And I already felt like, oh, this is it felt very solid. And not just that, but I very much resonate. And we've had the discussion about it yesterday, and I've had my own thoughts about it too, about finding our own power within and finding that power that is always there, and really taking the word self-responsibility for me can still feel very triggering sometimes, because there are things that happen, in our lives. It would be disingenuous to say that the things that are happening, in certain circumstances in our life, those things aren't happening to us as well as for us, because in the body that we are in, we can't deny that we do perceive something outside of ourselves. And that's something that I want to acknowledge, while at the same time thinking about those cycles. It really reminded me, and a lot of movies that I had been watching the past year was reminding me about how the cycles continue on when we do the same thing, and where the same things that we are indignant against, the things that we are wanting to fight against, how they start to find their way in us, because we have that hate, or we have something, as you mentioned, what it is that we're seeing outside of ourselves, it's also within ourselves. And so I noticed, even as things started to happen this past week, I started to notice a lot of the things that I thought I may have healed started to come up, that anger, that righteousness to say, not just that that's wrong, but, whatever has to happen to make it stop is just. And kind of had to take a step back when I did notice that, and how that same thought is perpetuated on whatever side that you think of, even if you don't want to agree with it. And the racial tensions that we're feeling in our own country now in America. Don't want to assume everyone's from America here. Um, Here it seems very much like there's only two ways to go about this. Either we are passive and we just say whatever, all is one and it doesn't matter what we do, or we fight and we just continue the cycle. And I continue to feel the confirmation in my life that there has to be a way where we can find our own inner power, where we can see where we can make those changes that we want to see in our lives already, where the things that we think we can't already initiate, we can actually initiate those things, where maybe circumstances or events or the way the narrative is being spun is telling us that we can't come together, that there is no way to build community, or that there is no way for you to feel power in and of yourself because of things that are going on out there. I just find myself wanting to challenge those ideas and challenge those narratives that make me, or find their way into my mind, and I start to allow them to really blossom and be more true than they really are. Um, I I guess a lot of this is kind of going off on a tangent from what he said. It was just
That's
very
okay.
heavy for me what he said, because it was just very much reminding me about those cycles, about how righteousness, and I said this to someone on Facebook, in like in a gaming group, so it's kind of funny, but it for me it was very much deep about righteousness being such a dangerous slope. It's just such a very dangerous slope, and using righteousness and what we feel is just with such a very heavy hand, it needs a not just a nuance, but it needs such a lighter truth to it. It needs some, I don't know the right words for it, and I'm still trying to find the right vocabulary, but I just keep finding myself leaning back onto this knowing of what, wielding righteousness with a heavy hand can cause damage that you're not intending to cause, even in the best of intentions. Yeah, I guess I'll just stop there and we can just have the conversation. It makes me think about a lot of things.
I'd like to unpack that thought a little bit more. But first, I'd like to just give everyone background on why we're even talking to begin with and why we decided to do this. So obviously there's a lot happening right now. And so I personally needed to take a little step back. What was it, last week? Just to recenter, um, because there's so much noise, so much outrage, which is, I get it. I completely understand. I posted videos about it too. And I was receiving messages from people, and they were saying to me, I'm so sorry, Alanna. I'm so sorry that this is happening. And I was so confused by that. It's like you say that as if this is news. You say that as if like this hasn't been something that I've seen my entire life. And like I haven't had to like learn to adapt to it. Not only adapt, but first adapt and then grow from it. And it was so strange that people were approaching me in kind of a pity kind of way. And when I responded to them completely in my power, they were confused. They were kind of like, oh, all right. And I posted my response on my Facebook page, and I can post it on my social media as well, my for Alanna Heavenly. But I was essentially like, I was made for this. And I didn't use these words, but I'm a pillar of strength. And I know like all my entire life, I've always been so good at staying grounded when there's fires all around me and helping to save everyone else in the fire. Saving myself first, because if I don't save myself first, then I'm going to burn. Saving myself first and then helping others out of that fire. So I was made for this. I was built for this. I've had several tests for this to help me navigate this. And I found myself that I was really disappointed in the silence from a lot of people in the spiritual community. I spent a couple of days just like wondering like what is my role in this, and that's why I recentered and like stopped looking at social media for as long as I could, didn't look at the news, was meditating and asking my guides, let me know what my role is here, because a lot of I wasn't hearing much from the spiritual community. And yeah, I also wanted to just speak out and say how I felt. And I feel so much compassion for everyone who feels, I feel so much compassion for people who feel like they don't have power. And I feel so much compassion for my community. And I almost felt like I was split in a way. And from there, I learned that, okay, that means that I need to speak up. If I don't see anyone else speaking up, that means that this is my role. So I reached out to Jasmine because Jasmine's name came up when I was pondering this idea. And then we had chatted yesterday. We talked about what was going on in our heads. And then we agreed like, let's talk about this publicly and give everyone the opportunity to chime in as well. Feedback is welcome. And just speak candidly. I'm speaking as Alanna, my humanness, and you're speaking as Jasmine.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess just to add on to what you were saying, which we talked about this already, but I noticed that as well of there's this feeling of an energy of pity that I feel towards me or towards people like me from some people. And it really did make me start to really rethink and even those thoughts made me rethink about the positioning of not just necessarily the Black Lives Matter movement, but just in general, when we do come into these matters, like what place are we coming into them from? And it was making me think about that, and where like I don't need to be petty, and that, you know, in talking about the things that have happened, you know, recently to have sparked such events, you know, Black people don't necessarily, we don't need to be pitied. And in history, we've already proven that, you know, we can build communities, that we can build, you know, economies, and we can build relationships with not just one another, but, you know, amongst other races. And like we've already been able to prove that, and we've seen examples of that. And
Not
so,
that we need to prove it. Not that we
oh
need to
yeah,
prove it, but
that's something I need. Yeah, you're right. It's just I guess when I know that a lot of people, for a lot of us, and maybe myself included, we tend to try to reflect back on history to try and see like what has happened so we can try to recreate it. And I recognize that there isn't a need necessary to recreate what already has been. There's a need to make something anew. But I guess I really want to pull from that to say that it's been done, that it's not something that we have to start fresh from scratch, brand new. We have no way of trying to do it. The pieces are there. We have to support those pieces and put our energy towards those pieces to bring them together. And I guess that's at least my perspective, when at least the past, you know, 5 years, where I really started to dig deep within my own history and to dig deep within the victimhood that I feel or have felt as a Black person. I started to recognize that a lot of people are doing this work, not necessarily just on the end of wanting to change legislation or wanting to change societal perspectives around race and things of that nature. Like there's people doing all these different levels of work on all of these different bases, and I started to see that, and I just started to realize that there's really more of a need to bring those pieces together, that there is a foundation, a grassroots foundation that has been being built by each one of us, that has consciously been putting our energy towards building community and building a deeper sense of unity that doesn't come just from us living in the same region, but comes from us being a global citizen. And even deeper than that, when we, you know, we get into the idea of being spiritual family. So I guess all of that for me to say, I don't want to fall into the space of thinking that I need pity, or that I need people to look at me or look at my community as helpless. I don't feel like it helps us at all to perpetuate that sort of viewpoint, and it doesn't really help us, you know, us actually in the community, to continue that talk. I guess I don't really feel comfortable speaking from that place anymore, and really wanting to speak from a place of like, no, we have power, we have voices, we are disenfranchised. I'm not going to deny, you know, the very real, you know, systematic things that affect us.
Mhm.
We still have our voices. We still have the ability to speak with one another and to connect with one another. We have the ability to gather in groups. I mean, obviously, there still will be things that try to, you know, get in our way, or things that we see as obstacles from allowing us to gather. But all of these examples for me to say, I find myself thinking there's just creative avenues here. There's a need for us to be very creative in the ways in which we decide how we're going to build and how we're going to move forward. Thinking very outside of just the very paved ways of fighting against each other, or just accepting this idea that maybe I am hopeless. Hopefully all of that makes sense, because I feel like this whole time I'm going to be on a tangent. So
Brandy brings up a very good point about we can't build on a broken foundation. A new foundation is needed. Um, the foundation actually works as is, though. It works to keep us disjointed and keep us at odds with each other. That's what it's made to do. That's why it's absolutely insane to continue relying and using this system meaning the government and everything else related to it. So yes, we need something new. And maybe this is just, I feel like what's happening now is so beautiful that people are channeling their anger in this way because, you know, guys, I always say that you need to feel your emotions. You need to feel through them instead of hiding from them. So all of the protests that are going on, everything, there's people have every right to be angry. There's no shaming anyone on how they're feeling at all. When people feel like I'm gonna breathe and get my words together. We all have a role here in this huge game on Earth that we call life. So there's so many important people out there who are protesting, who are helping catalyze others, who are there making noise so that everyone else can hear, and are lighting fires in their own way. Lighting fires, and this is metaphorical, metaphorical fire. There are people lighting fires, but I'm talking about metaphorical fires that are spreading just to raise awareness, right? So there's that's a beautiful role. There's people like ourselves who are there to emit different energies of like love and peace, and I don't know what other frequencies that you're feeling right now, but I just feel like a pillar. That's what I feel like. I feel grounded, and I saw myself I saw like kind of a vision of myself as a buoy in the ocean, just like always there floating, always like head above water. So that's how I feel. And that's powerful and that's needed. And everyone's role is important. And that's why I stressed so much about being able to center yourself so that you are able to tap into what your unique role is. Not what everyone else wants you to do, but what your unique role is, what your footprint is in the world. Because I had thoughts like, maybe I should be out there yelling and screaming and out there protesting. I don't know if you ever heard me scream. I can't scream. That is not my role. I can be very soft spoken. So this is where I'm meant to be right now. Maybe it'll change, who knows, but in this now moment, this is my role. And my role is to help people be in their power, to remind people that they're badasses, and to remind people that they should be authentically themselves and not shamed. If they want to go protest and yell and scream, that's powerful. They're transmuting their anger in that way. I'm transmuting by speaking this way. I'm bringing energies in as a channel. There's so many other roles that we could talk about, but I'd love for everyone to comment in and say what their roles are.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to say about your role, Jasmine?
Yeah, just making me reminded me about the energies you're talking about, and for me, I'm feeling very much grace for me because I find myself and compassion. I find myself being able to. Oh,
Speaking of babies,
got a
grace
baby.
and compassion, knock, knock, knock.
Of course. What's wrong? Okay. Give me one moment, real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe the chat will have some responses, and I'll be able to come back with
Okay,
mine.
no problem. She has two little kitties. Okay, what would I like to say? I think that I sense fear in people around the protesters, and it's as if they're fearful of the protesters' power. They're fearful, and I feel like everyone's rising up and starting to understand their power more. And anger can be a beautiful thing. It can be a beautiful thing, and I'm so happy and proud that we're not stifling it anymore, because that can cause diseases and sicknesses. I'm happy that everyone is speaking up, and hopefully everyone is being authentic about it. And I love it. The suffering makes me very sad, but to see everyone being able to speak up is beautiful. To see women like Allison, who's in the chat, being able to speak up and raise awareness around Black Lives Matter and lose followers, and you still go on and speak up about it, it's amazing. And this is why I read the channeled message about oneness, because everyone has a different definition of peace for themselves. Perhaps finding peace for one person is by protesting. That's how they find their peace. How I find my peace is by organizing something like this, bringing us all together so that we can have a candid conversation. That's how I find my peace. And you guys are all I'm going to be reading this soon about what your roles are, and hopefully you can find your peace that way. Hopefully you're finding your peace that way. I find that if you're not in your role, it can kind of be extremely draining and frustrating. So if you're looking to see what you have to add to this, and you're finding that you're like super frustrated, drained, and that could be a sign that you're not within the right role for you. But meditate and ask your guides. I would like to read the comments. Jordan says, my role, a white passing First Nation person of Australia, holding space from here, listening, holding some of the weight of the emotional labor involved in educating, and being an exemplar of an ally. Wonderful. Because I don't want to do emotional labor. That's not my role. Although some people would think that like what we're doing now, can be emotional labor, but it feels so natural. Right. That just shows that it's part of my role here. Brandy says, I think it's okay to not know what your role is yet. What is important is to ask the question within ourselves. Absolutely. You don't need to rush with it to figure out what your role is at all. As long as you are doing what's safe and loving for yourself. Melissa, yes, when I was protesting, I felt oddly powerful, yet fearful. But when I was surrounded by a sea of protesters, it started to ease my mind. Yeah. What was your experience like, Melissa, out there protesting? And thank you for doing that. I love you guys for just holding your roles. And I love you for even being here in this space tonight. Allison says, I feel like you, Alanna. I feel my role is to speak with compassion and try to be a lighthouse to encourage people to reflect. Yes. Standing together. Yes, indeed. Jordan says, also holding the energy of earth and the collective consciousness in my body, transmuting, having controlled seizures as we release these dense energies that are purging from the concordant records. Jordan, take care of yourself. Did you have another seizure? I was gonna
say.
Yeah. Hi, Hallie. Hey, Morgan. And Elizabeth, hello. Okay. That's so nice that you guys are all here. So is there anyone here that hasn't said hi? Because we have 15 people watching. Don't be a stranger. Now there's 14. As soon as I said that, they left. Don't be a stranger. What I always say in these lives is that I like people to come in and say hi because we're all loving, and this is like we're around a sacred circle. Hi, Shannon.
I was just gonna text Jordan. Oh, I was gonna say, because Jordan said she had 2 seizures this morning. I just want to say, hope
Jordan.
she's safe.
You're fine. It felt good. Okay. I'll try not to project. Hi, Christy. There was also, hi, Corey. I forgot to say hi to you. You're sad. You don't know what your role is in all of this, just being honest. That's okay. And you're showing up here. And I love you for supporting me. And even like things that seem to be so simple, so little as you liking my posts, that was like meant so much for me because I felt like as I was preparing for this today, I started to feel so isolated from the community that I was just starting to get to know more of. So, and then when I would see people like my posts, I was like, that is so nice. That's so nice. So Corey, that's okay. You are still completely purposeful. Even if you don't know specifically what your role is, you are still doing it without knowing that you're doing it. Elizabeth, also, you were having seizures yesterday. I didn't know about the earthquakes in Yellowstone Park because I haven't been on, I've only been allowing myself 5 minutes of Twitter a day. I have a timer. I know, you can't do much in 5 minutes, but ever since like I put that timer on, it's so much better because the time that it takes to like clear yourself after reading all the stuff on Twitter and everything and just getting your mind recentered, it was just taking too much time for me and when I really needed to focus on other things. Corey also says, I just want everyone to love each other and I just cry about all of this. Yes. Yes. I'm being brought back to oneness and that letting it process. When anyone's suffering, when anyone's feeling disempowered, marginalized, oppressed, it doesn't matter what race they are, but I feel that it's our responsibility to help that person. I feel like it's our responsibility to be loving and to receive that love as well. Be loving to ourselves and others. That's what I feel our responsibility is in this world. And I don't feel like our responsibility is to ignore people's pain. And that's what my issue is with a lot of the silence that I've observed. There have been people speaking up. I'm not going to say that there's been no one speaking up. There has been. But there's also been a surprising amount of silence, as if this is something that, as if this is something that's just like a little phase as if this is like a little thing that is just now becoming a problem. So I understand that everyone has a role, but it's triggering to me when people are very silent, when we can easily send people love and support. And that's it. We are the change we want. Yes. What do you have to say, Jasmine?
Oh no,
I think I've been talking too much.
no, I was just going to say I was feeling the same way. I started noticing, like I felt triggered too. And at first I started to notice, like, okay, well, maybe, like, I don't have to understand, and I can acknowledge that while also just have space for myself for how I felt, or how it is feeling when it does feel, at least from me and where I am, that there is so much that can be done that doesn't have to be violent or doesn't have to be anything that people, feel would not resonate with them. The small things, like you said, like just sending love and compassion. Um, I don't know. I don't want to assume that I know how everything's supposed to go either. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to accept that, everything has to play out as it is, and that there's parts, like, life is just so much more intricate than I could ever understand. So I don't want to judge, but I also don't want to shame myself for how I feel either. And
Yeah.
it's been just a really interesting place to find myself now, where, as how we were talking about it, when a lot of very similar energies started to spark up, after similar police brutality events took place. And when that first happened, and I was maybe 4 or 5 years younger, and I was very much in that relentless rage and just very, just just overflowing with lava. And I recognized that's necessary. And I recognize that some people are now going through what I went through at that moment. And I'm watching people go through that volcano effect, and having that space, kind of going back to what you were saying of, where do I find my role? I find I find myself just in different roles wherever I find myself being able to be of service or be of change for me or for someone else. So I just notice, when people are going through that, I don't want to judge, people for how
How they're
they're
reacting.
yeah, how they're reacting, how it is triggering, old traumas, not just things that we've, seen and experienced in our own lifetimes as brown or black people, but, the people before us and the people before them. And there's just so much where I just find myself standing in this weird space of just of love and grace, yet discernment of, recognizing, I don't have to take in everything either. The things that feel well intentioned from some people have felt harmful to me, and I can acknowledge that I don't have to, take in all things, all forms of help. If that seems relevant at all to the conversation.
Oh, it does.
I
I
just
think
feel,
anything you have to say is relevant.
oh yeah, there's just a lot. I mean, I was saying this to you, like, there's just a lot that um I'm still processing, and I'm still observing, and more is coming to me, and observing, and more is coming to me. So I guess I just find myself, like you said, when I notice I don't see what I kind of wish that I was seeing. Like, wish that I was seeing that would encourage me, that remind me, okay, I can create that. I can make that content. I
Yeah.
can
Can I
be,
interrupt you? I'm
yeah.
sorry. So what I was saying that I felt very triggered and disheartened and saddened when I didn't see that type of support that I expected from this the spiritual community. And law of reflection, like I said earlier, as I read about earlier, as soon as I started to plan and create how I would like to speak up and how I would like to co-create with you, people started reaching out to me about speaking to them in their communities as well. And I started to care, I started to like care even less and less about about my expectations around who is going to speak out about this, because I'm going to speak out about this. I'm going to say how I feel. I'm going to speak up for my community. And that's it. Like, who now I'm like, who cares who else speaks up? Like, that's their problem.
Right.
It's not my problem anymore, because I'm doing what I can and what I feel empowered to do. And I'm making a space for other people to speak up.
Yeah, that's true. I would, as you say that, it makes me think about, or maybe it's something I'm intuiting, or maybe it's something I'm feeling because I felt the same, where people don't feel like they can say certain things because of this, the whole love and light concept, and
Yeah.
there's
Which
no,
is such bullshit.
yeah, like it's just, it's very, it just feels very disempowering. And as I read some takes on it, it just feels very, that's just the word I keep coming back to, is disempowering, because it just feels wait a minute, like why now? Why is my anger and rage all of a sudden, like why is this now unholy, and why is this not?
Yeah.
And it yeah, it just keeps re-triggering, which I, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I kind of thank it, because it's really pushed me to say, like, F it. I kind of want to say something. I can't just sit back and feel like, it just feels almost like slaps in the face. Like I'm not, it, it's just really weird. The intersectionality of things has been just very weird for me, where it's just like, I feel like there's got to be other people like me that feel the same, where they feel like they can't speak up, and now all of a sudden, now I'm participating in dark energy, or whatever narratives or collective beliefs people have about
Yeah.
things. It's been kind of disheartening, but it definitely does help me recognize and help me foster my discernment even deeper, and build my
Mm-hmm.
own pillar of truth for myself. And also, when I'm able to, for me to forgive when I feel like maybe they are wrong. They don't even have to be wrong, but at least for me, I can find that forgiveness is helpful for me, to honor that I don't have to know, and maybe I won't ever know. And I can just forgive it, and forgive even myself if I'm thinking something's wrong. It's just, I don't want to carry these feelings of just judging other people for what they're doing, because I just want to
Mm-hmm.
focus on what I am doing, and what
Yeah.
I cultivate, and what we can cultivate with other people. Because as soon as I do that, I don't feel like how you said, I don't feel this like, okay, well,
Yeah.
why aren't you doing this, or why aren't you doing that? Like,
Because
in all,
part of it is kind of like judging yourself a little. When you're pointing at someone, you're also like pointing at yourself. Like, what? Yeah. So when, like you were saying, sorry for interrupting again, but like when we started taking action, then that kind of, those feelings kind of subsided, because we were getting like back in to alignment kind of within us. And I'm so happy that you mentioned discernment as well, because I had this like little dance in my mind about like, well, I want to say this, but is that like loving? Is that like, is that okay? Is that acceptable? And I'm so glad that Kalima has just kicked my ass with all of her messages, because I was like, I know that it's okay. I know that there's no judging emotions, that they're all perfect and valid. And I know that I myself just channeled the message about it's okay to feel angry. And it's okay. And I channeled that I'm not just a love and light person. I'm about integrating your wholeness. any perceived negative emotions need to be felt. Not that I think those emotions are negative, but it's important to honor everything. So I remember the messages that I channeled, because everything is a message for yourself as well, not just the collective. So I was like, okay, I'm speaking what my truth is. I'm not going to listen to whatever it is that I've been taught, you know, whatever it is that other people around me may be doing. I'm going to connect with what my truth is. And my truth was speaking about what the hell is going on.
Just
And
being
also supporting, because people are so afraid of feelings. And what I see is a beautiful uprising. I see people just flowering beautifully and expressing themselves freely. And that's so loving for themselves. That's so much more loving than anyone keeping that stifled in. So when people are feeling rage, they should express that. And I always use the disclaimer in a safe and loving way. It's safe and loving way to them. So if going out and protesting is safe and loving for them, do that. And it's helping us as well. So, what are people saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say there's been a lot of comments, so I wanted to read some of them.
Okay.
Let's see. Trying to scroll up. Where did we end up?
Oh, I think what Divine Creatrix, aka Elizabeth.
Yes.
So you see her under "We Are the Change That We Want." Do you want to read that?
Yeah. She said, oh, wait. Oh, yeah, there was more. Okay, here it is. What is a good, loving way to reach out and be supportive to people of color, especially empaths in our communities? I wasn't aware that so many "I'm sorry" responses bringing up pity energy. Ew, I guess for my response, I guess I'll start. A good, loving way to reach out. I feel
Sharing
like,
this video.
well, yeah, that, and I guess the first thing that comes to mind is not making assumptions. I guess just coming in and hello, how are you doing? How can I help? I guess I feel like opening the space to say, like, I'm here to, I don't know, like whatever it is that you feel like you can offer, if that person felt like they needed something. I guess that's the first part, is I don't want people to make assumptions about what someone may need. I guess it always just helps maybe to ask, but I guess it also depends on your relationship with that person. I guess that would probably work best if you've already built a rapport and you've got a connection with that person. So for maybe like a stranger or someone that you don't have that sort of connection with just yet, um, I guess the thought that comes to my mind now is just, I am here with you. Um, I feel like saying something like that lets someone know that they aren't alone, that there's someone that sees them. I think, at least speaking from my perspective and a lot of things that I have felt and that I see, a lot of people, they don't feel seen. They feel unheard. Um, for a lot of people, it feels like that's why they have to go to, more extreme measures to do what they have to do, or, they use more provocative language so that people hear what they have to say. I guess for me, I just feel like maybe just letting people know that you are there, and letting people know that you are available in some way. And I feel more often than not, or at least from what I see, people are willing to let you know what it is that they need, or what it is that you can do to help them. Or, if they have a project that you could help with, or if there's something that you can share, if you could just share it on your page, and that would be something that you could help with.
Yeah.
I guess that's just coming from me, where I feel when someone says, I'm sorry to me, I don't necessarily, it's not, I don't feel any malice or, anything. So I don't want anyone to think that um, I'm feeling some type of way because you're saying that. But I just wanted to, I guess, just make it clear that you can, at least for me, transparency always works the best. I just feel you can be honest about, you know, what it is that you want to offer, or if you are wanting to talk. Because I notice, you know, a lot of people may want to reach out to, you know, other people to get their experiences, or kind of educate themselves by just kind of putting themselves more in like a person of color shoes. You can be that if that feels loving for you too, as you know, the brown person, or you know, what have you. I hope it's making sense what I'm saying. Just ultimately, I feel when you come at it from a place of from love, but also honoring that that person knows what they need, and all you have to do is let them know that you can, that you're available.
For me, in response to what what's a good way, loving way to reach out and be supportive. So this is coming from human Alanna again. Just saying I'm sorry just sounds so shallow, so surface level to me. And I would rather people focus on two things, internal and external. Focus on internal, meaning focus on the racist tendencies that you have. We all have it. Sorry, like even in the Black community, we have racist tendencies against each other. All communities have it because that's how the system was built, to despise each other and to judge each other in some type of way, whether it's colorism, classism, racism, sexism, what other ism? So many isms. Um, so do the internal work to determine what is it that you have within you. Where's the hate that you have within you? Um, that's the internal. External is what external action can you take to send love in an authentic way. I say authentic because I don't mean sending love in a pity kind of way, in a you look at this person as powerless kind of way, because energetically, that's not a match. If you're sending me love from pity, that's not really pure love for me. So once you do that internal work and are able to see the person as equal, then I feel like that's more of an energetic match, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I appreciate you explaining it that way.
Melissa, you're triggered right now. What happened? Corey says, thank you for doing this video so I can process this. I feel if I speak about this, all it will do is divide us even more. I spoke from love on one post and it was ridiculed. Corey, my advice for you is to forgive. And also take away, like, and try to understand what about the message was triggering as well, because I think we all need to understand each other's language more.
Yeah.
I can tell you what, like, something triggered me. I think it was Jenna. Jenna posted, Jenna M. I don't remember her last name. Jenna, you know who I'm talking about. I think you're friends with her too. A lot of us are connected with her on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's possible she's even listening right now. She posted some really great resources from the Southeast Asian for Black Lives Matter. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, I'm not going to look it up. So she posted really great resources on what you can read, what you can watch, like in terms of understanding racism and anti-racism. And she titled the post on Facebook, Dear White Friends, like, this is what you guys can look at. And I was so happy to see her post that. I was like, that's great. Like, you posted resources And so I commented, oh, thank you. And then I realized after I commented thank you, I was like, oh crap, this is not my space. This is for her white friends. Like, I want to give them the space to have like resources so that they can figure their stuff out, right? Because it's everyone's responsibility to figure their stuff out. And so I commented like, oh, so sorry that I entered this space. And she was really sweet. She's like, no, that's fine. And the next day, a man had commented, and he responded to me with like a really generic sounding message about how I should speak up because we is the generic message that everyone has been sending about how no one should be silent right now, blah blah. And that triggered me because I was like, well, I'm not being silent. This is not the space for me. This is not my space. And anyway, I said what I had to say. I said, thank you for posting this. And so I said to him, because he also said feedback is like critical. And so I said, okay, you said feedback is critical. So my feedback to you is that it's triggering for me when you tell me, this is a white man, when you tell me as a Black woman not to be silent, especially during these times when I'm not being silent. So I explained that to him. I said, I don't know if that's your intention. And he said, wow, that was not my intention at all. Thank you for explaining that. And that was like the amount of emotional labor that I could probably handle for a week or so. But things are very super tense in that way. And I had to check myself and like why I was feeling triggered. And then explain to him like, this is what I'm seeing, like just a heads up. So we just need to understand each other's languages more. And, I need to check myself at times too, and have an open heart and understand that people are learning things for the very first time. And while it's so strange to me that people are just now learning this, it's part of their process. And I love that people even want to learn and are trying to learn. So we're going to be triggered. We're human.
The first thing that comes to mind when you mentioned that was the topic about cancel culture, especially in these times where people, not just people in general, but like there is, at least from what I see, there is an uprise of people wanting to learn, trying, maybe possibly making mistakes as they're trying to be advocates and allies, but trying. And we talked about it, and it's, I guess I just wanted to share that like it's a messy process. And I guess just speaking for myself, even for myself, as a Black person unpacking this for myself, it was messy. It wasn't pretty. It was, me making mistakes and me.
That's how we learn. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was me, saying the wrong things, and or at least for me, in hindsight, oh, like wow, like that wasn't very, nice, or like, that didn't really get my point across, or just certain things where people are really, everyone's learning, even everyone that is learning to hold their voice, the people that are learning how can they advocate for themselves, people, how can I be an ally, how can I be supportive, I guess, however much understanding or grace that we can have for one another, I just implore people to try and have that, because it's going to be messy. Like the whole concept to me of restructure and of, rebuilding, not the idea of rebuilding, like the makes me think of like again. So I'm thinking like there's a complete rebuilding.
Rehaul?
It's a rehaul. It's a complete revamp of things. And like, even in nature, we witness like it's not pretty. It's not ever like this super graceful thing where, all the animals just lay out and they're just, and the world just changes. Like it gets gnarly. Sometimes it gets kind of ugly. And I guess I just wanted us to acknowledge that for
Can I
ourselves.
repeat? I want to just say what you just said.
Yeah.
Growth can be ugly.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. Growth can be ugly.
I,
It took a lot of ugly moments for me to be here at this point.
yeah. I was going to say, I would, at least for myself, I would even say it will be ugly, because I just feel like there's no way for it to be beautiful in the way that we perceive beautiful. Like it's just not. And so I guess accepting that part, even for me, has been something that's been necessary to honor that it's going to be, it's going to be pretty messy. And there's so many of us individuals. Like, could we possibly really think it's all just going to be this uniform and just picture perfect way of thinking things? It's not even just realistic. So I guess I find being able to accept those things allows us to even have that for ourselves. I'm noticing that a lot more too. And the more that I can accept that and love that about myself, that it is ugly and it has been ugly, but it's been so fulfilling, and it's been helpful to have other people around me that, like, they see my ugly duckling phase that I'm in, and they still see me, they still love me, and they still honor me and respect me in ways that maybe I may not respect myself, or may not have thought others would have respected me, because of those judgments that I have about growth and how it's supposed to look. So I just wanted to bring that up when it comes to cancel culture. And I mean, I always want to disclaim that you always should have your own discernment. And so, who you want to listen to and whose energy you welcome into your space is definitely up to you. Yet I think it's important for us to recognize that we don't have to throw people away, or throw, entire groups, or throw entire movements away, or whatever. You can put anything in that space. You don't have to throw anything away because of something that is ultimately, it's just uncomfortable for us to acknowledge is necessary. So
Yeah, I cancel culture is really just people eventually learning that we don't need to put anyone on a pedestal anymore. You know, no one's perfect.
yeah.
And so stop feeling like your favorite artist is going to be 100% your truth 100% of the time. And if you don't like that person's truth, then don't listen to them. Whatever. Let's see what else is going on. I'm getting hungry, so I need to. um, I want to see what Melissa said. Melissa said, this is just a lot with social media. It's just a lot. Please remember to take your social media breaks, Melissa. I know that like you're super involved and that's awesome, but don't lose yourself, because you're not going to be able to stay center that way. So if you need to just disconnect for a day and meditate, get your incense, get your vibe going, remember your essence, please do that. Because if you take time for breaks, then you'll be able to like go for much longer in terms of longevity, as opposed to burning yourself out completely. So hopefully that helps. Um, is there anything else in terms of anything else you guys want to say? Anything that you want to say, Jasmine?
Oh yeah, I'm just catching up on the comments a little myself too. Trying to think, is there anything else that was on my heart? No, I really think that's mostly really all of it. At the heart of it, I feel it really is a time for us to really sit with ourselves so we can figure out you know, what it like, I believe
Did you lock your babies in a closet? I'm just kidding. I'm
oh,
kidding. Guys, I'm just going.
she's, oh, give me one more second.
Yeah. So I want to tell you guys what's going to be happening this week. So Tuesday, tomorrow, I'm just looking at my calendar. Tomorrow, I'm going live on Instagram with Claudia from Golden Age Alchemy. So that's 8:30 Eastern on Tuesday. And we're going to talk about the movement. We're going to talk about the multidimensional levels. I'm going to talk about what I see from 3D perspective, 4D, like just everything, what I see from a bird's eye view as well. So Claudia is in LA. She's been part of the protests. A lot is happening in LA. I'm just talking about the schedule for this week. And then Wednesday, I will be on Instagram Live with Erin talking about how to heal from this. Not just from this. I'm going to rephrase that. Just how to heal in general. And then Friday is the Feminine Divinity Moon Circle with Brandy. And that's at 9 p.m. Eastern. And that will be on Zoom. I'll add the link below in the description. The link is also on my Instagram bio. I have the link there. You have to register for it. And it's going to be with Kali Ma. I'll be channeling Kali Ma. Brandy will be channeling Oshun. We're going to do some type of release fire ceremony. Kali Ma would love to speak with you guys on screen, one-on-one. And we're going to do a blessing with Oshun as well. It's for everyone. Doesn't matter what gender you are, but it will be focused on your divine feminine. And it's free. So that's a jam-packed week.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds exciting. And I just also want to apologize for having to dip in and out, but I appreciate
your mama bear. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm like I definitely plan to try and have them a little to themselves more, but yeah, they definitely poke their head, especially my daughter. She likes
I love the begging. It's like I love it.
I mean, the only reason she can't open the doors because the doorknob isn't on the other end. So or she would just run in here. So
she'll find a way. She'll find a way to open it.
Yeah, she's finding the way. But yeah, that's been really, really great even for me. Like, I don't know if other people feel it. I assume like when we're just around more people and other people and being able to just gather in some way, as I mentioned earlier before, like there's ways in which we can gather together and we can just talk and we can collaborate, but we can just be there for each other and hear each other out and just usher each other through these times. Like we need each other to usher each other through these things. So I'm just grateful for spaces like this and being able to be alive in a time like this. Like I even in the face of things, I continue to find myself really sitting with the fact that this is really just a monumental time. And I just truly believe that there's no mistakes. And so I really want to, I let myself sit with that. If I am alive in this time, in this now, like that's a really powerful thing. And I hope other people can find power in that too, because this is just a very, I don't even know the word for it. I just feel like it's very much like this 0 point time where we can really do some crazy things and amazing things that we would just never would have imagined could have ever happened.
Yes.
So I don't really have any proof for that, but that's just what I feel. So
I mean, it's already been crazy. And I want to remind you guys to work on being in your bodies. I've been saying this forever. It's a challenge for me too, but work on committing yourself to connecting with your body. Even 10 minutes of yoga a day will help you move through the energy that you're feeling. It will. Even when you just want to lay in bed all day, make a commitment with yourself. 10 minutes of yoga, stretching, whatever you align with in terms of what your body needs each day, do it, because it's just as important as meditating. It's just as important as talking to yourself. You need to talk to your body. So please do that. Otherwise, it'll be a little bit challenging. So the reason for connecting with your body, that's what related to your root chakra, your lower chakras. So, and people talk all about your third eye and crown and opening up the third eye and everything, but we need to be rooted in this earth, rooted. And then the Kundalini energy, let that rise after that. That's the golden thread that Khan so lovingly mentioned in the channeled message I mentioned earlier. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please spread it all around. Please like it as well. We want to get the YouTube algorithm going. Jasmine is available on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook under Gladiator and Sweats.
Yep, sure.
Right? And I'm on Instagram, Facebook under Alanna Heavenly. Bring her in. Bring who in? Oh, the baby. She wants to see her baby.
I mean, if you really do, because she would love it.
Oh yeah, I want to see her.
Okay. Let me go get her.
And I'm available on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, of course, under Alanna Heavenly. I just a couple of months ago launched a mentorship with learning the Akashic Records and learning how to read your own Akashic Records, because one of my passions is about normalizing learning how to use your intuition. So I've been reading people's Akashic Records for a few years now, and I love teaching people how to tap into their Akashic Records and holding space for them as they learn how to form a language with their spirit guides. So it's just been incredible. So take a look at my website, alannaheavenly.com, for that. Remember, I did say, I gave you guys a month's heads up that I would be changing my my pricing. So that kicked in today. Hey, baby.
Hey, you want to say hello? Say hi.
Oh, are you tired?
Shy.
Okay. What's your name?
Shy. But yeah, she's a very fiery one. But yeah, she doesn't want to say hello.
What's her birthday? Or what's her sign? You don't have to say her birthday. What's her sign?
Yes. She is a Virgo.
Aww.
Oh,
those cheeks. Oh, look at you. I heard how smart you are. You were reading to yourself?
Yeah.
That is amazing. How old are you?
How old are you?
5.
No, not yet. That's how old you're turning. How old are you now?
4. You guys are so beautiful.
Like, excuse their bedhead and very all natural, but yeah, they definitely love to peep pop in and stuff. But yeah, this is what I do most of my days. Is to
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we close?
No, I think that was it. You already let people know where to find me if they would like to find me. I'm pretty much Gladiator and Sweats everywhere, so just search for that and you'll find me if you're looking for me. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I just want to thank everyone for being here, because I was,
you guys,
last minute, and I never know how many people will actually show up. So it was actually nice to have a good mix of people, and it's nice to have a lot of women and a lot of feminine energy here. That was cool.
Yes, and all the secret people who weren't talking, I love you and I appreciate you. And the people from the future, thank you for watching. And don't forget to share and like, guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Oh, now you turn.